Hey y'all, the Undead Ninjas are back. Dom and Doc here with yet another adventure into horror. Here, this evening, we'll be discussing our top 10 list of horror movie favorites.
Wow, you did a good job on that one. All right.
I was really trying on that one. That took me like 10 tries. Jeez.
It did take you 10 tries. All right, so how do you want to start? What are we going to start with?
Well, I was thinking we kind of... take it slow. I want to do the honorable mentions first, because before we really take the kid gloves off.
Okay. Let's see what you got. And just to let you guys know, we didn't look on any websites. These are our personal lists. So if you want to attack us if you want. We don't care.
It is what it is.
All right. These are Chris's honorable mentions. We're just going to name the honorable mentions off. And I suggest that you watch these. I don't know his list. He doesn't know my list, so this should be really interesting. Honorable mentions, let's go.
All right, well, first up on my honorable mentions are The Invisible Man. Man, Claude Rains killed it as The Invisible Man. Man, that scene where he's just had enough of the townsfolk and just starts unmasking, like, just the raps as they're coming off. It was just so beautiful. Love that scene. And then the evil maniacal laugh. I mean, it sounds goofy, but it's just the maniacal laugh. I loved it. I mean, you can't imitate that. There's no way.
Now, Chris, I will remind you.
Yes.
That if we go into detail with every single honorable mention, we're going to be here for 6 hours.
All right, fine then. I'm just
going to let you know. I'm just letting you know.
Then let's cut to the quick then. All right. So first one up was The Invisible Man. My second honorable mention is The Mummy. Just the way they did the shading of the eyes, just the mesmerizing look. Loved it. Dracula from 1939, I believe. That one. Bela Lugosi, man. He basically set the tone for Dracula for a century to come. I mean, wow. I did love Bram Stoker's Dracula from the 90s. Come on, Gary Oldman.
Is that on your list?
Yeah. No. This is my honorable mentions.
I mean, is that on your honorable mention?
Yes.
Okay.
I also love the Bram Stoker's Dracula. Okay. Love that one. Come on, Gary Oldman as Dracula. Keanu Reeves as Jonathan Harker. And then, what's her name? What was her name? She played Spock's mom on Star Trek. I can't remember. But, that particular movie, it was more romantic than horror, but I really loved how Gary Oldman embodied Dracula in that one. So, Scream, that one is yet another honorable mention. That one was one of the first slasher flicks I watched. I love that they paid attention to the horror movie genre and the scope of how the rules are and how they sort of made a parody of that. So I thought that was really cool.
I'm sorry, I don't want to see your list.
Oh, that's right. No, you're right. Let me keep that out the way. I don't want you to see that. Definitely Psycho is yet another one of my
on your honorable mention.
I have this one.
No. It's your list. It's fine. It's your list.
Really hard one. And I love a lot of films, so this one was a really hard one.
I have a feeling they're gonna eat you up for that one.
I got a feeling they might.
It's fine. It's your list. Though.
But
it's your list.
Definitely Psycho. A lot of it was mainly just because that I've only seen these movies a little more than a year ago, but a lot of the movies on my actual list I've seen within just a couple of months.
Anything else on your honorable mention?
Sinister and 28 Days Later.
Okay.
Definitely. So
okay, I feel like they're gonna eat you for that. Psycho one.
I know. I should have left that one on.
All right, my honorable mention. By the way, I think you only had like 5. I have 11. Aye. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna list them. I'm not even gonna get into details. If you want to watch these movies, I suggest. So we have American Werewolf in London, Scream, It Follows, Rosemary's Baby, The Thing, John Carpenter one, of course, Insidious, The Cabin in the Woods, Saw,
how did I miss that one?
The Grudge, Poltergeist, and the original Night of the Living Dead. That is my honorable mentions.
Okay.
Well, that's our honorable mentions.
Yes.
So, I will let you go first. Start with number 10. What we're going to do is we're going to list. He's going to say his 10. He's going to say number 10. Okay. And he's going to say why it's his number 10. Okay. Then I'm going to say why. And then I'm going to name my number 10 and say why it's my number 10. And we're going to go down the list that way. Okay. So, what's your number 10?
My number 10. Oh, man. This one's going to be left field. Jeepers Creepers. I thought that monster was pretty trippy. I have to admit, and even the way it ended, oh man, it was just it was a very trippy, different kind of monster. I mean, I thought up until that point Freddy Krueger was a trip, but you know that one, oh man, just creepy to the utmost. So yeah, that one, number 10 for me is Jeepers Creepers.
Okay. My number 10 is super biased because I grew up with this movie. Okay. It is The Fog. The Fog by John Carpenter, starring Jamie Lee Curtis. My dad put me onto this movie, and we've watched that movie every year ever since. And I just love that movie. So we used to take summer vacations to Galveston. Okay. We'd rent a beach house. And one night, every year at that beach house at night, we would watch The Fog. Because if you know, it happened on Antonio Bay, it looks just like Galveston. It's that same scene. It's that same scenery. And it's just the way it makes you feel.
Like it gets you in the mood for that particular film.
It makes you want to leave Galveston immediately. It really does.
Like going straight up 45.
And just the acting in it and the direction. And of course you're going to have a great score. Of course. Because you got John Carpenter in the reins.
Oh man, that was great. It really set the ambiance for that particular. Okay.
So what's your number 9?
Oh man, number 9, Evil Dead, the recent remake. My wife and I have this one's a personal favorite of my wife and I. The reason why we went to go see this movie was because we had a habit of going to the movies just to go see what I wanted to go see. So she was like, nah, if we're going to go see what you're going to go see, I'm going to go see what I want to go see. So we went to go see G.I. Joe 2 at the time, and we went to go see her movie first. Figured I was being nice, be fair, whatever, you know. So we went to go see Evil Dead. I left that movie so traumatized. Man, we couldn't even, I couldn't focus through G.I. Joe. I just could not focus through that movie. It took a very long time. The gore factor in that movie was done eloquently. I love the oh man, there was a scene where you didn't see what was going on, but you could hear it. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that particular kind of that kind of genius when it comes to film is really clever. Like, you know, don't show me gore, make me imagine what's going on in the background just by hearing it. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was pretty much one of the highlight of that movie. Just skin being sliced and you could hear it. Like, it was just, oh man, it threw me off. So yeah, that's my number 9.
Okay. That's my number 9. My number 9 is The Conjuring.
Oh, good call. Okay.
The Conjuring is my number 9. Okay. And I had a tough time placing this.
Did you know?
I had a tough time placing it. It almost got honorable mentions.
I thought for sure it would have been.
It almost got honorable mentions. It almost got moved to number 8. But as you'll see in a little bit, I couldn't move my number 8.
Okay.
I just couldn't put it number 9. But just I mean, it's not much I can say about The Conjuring. Okay. That hasn't already been said, because it's just
so phenomenal.
One of those movie experiences that, man, I would tell anyone, just watch it.
Yes.
Just go. It's nothing I can say that's gonna make you like that movie. You just have to go watch it.
Exactly.
You literally just have to go watch The Conjuring.
Okay.
What's your number 8?
Ah, man. Insidious 2. I was a big fan of genre movies that turn the usual of what's expected from a horror film on its head. You know, the basis of Insidious being it's not the house that's haunted, it's the kid that's haunted. And I love that idea. And of course, when they go more in depth into the movie, you're kind of like, wow, that's trippy. Like, what if, you know? And I loved how it, being a direct follow-up from the first one, it was more or less the same premise, but it was a flip, a switch. Instead of it being the son we're dealing with, it was the dad. So I really loved that. So, yeah, no, definitely number 8 was Insidious 2.
Okay. My number 8 is A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Good. Okay.
And like I said, I couldn't put this any lower or any higher.
Okay. And that's fair. That's
like fair. Just Freddy. Just Freddy.
I mean, you can't come up with a more
like
ingenious...
just Freddy itself. And honestly, this is not my favorite Nightmare on Elm Street, but it set the tone.
Okay.
Because without that basis, it's nothing to go off of after that.
Nothing to build up to.
Yeah, it just set the basis of what you're gonna watch and what you're gonna get ready for.
Okay.
And I mean, who can argue?
Oh no, I mean, I've always felt that Freddy Krueger was the monster of slasher flicks,
and he's his own comic relief.
Yeah,
you don't need an extra character in a Nightmare on Elm Street because what emotions doesn't he give you? I mean, he
straight up dread.
he scares you. He haunts you. He makes you laugh. He's weird as hell.
Oh yeah, like just
he kind of gives you creepy pedo vibes sometimes.
Ugh.
I mean, he gives you everything that you need to be terrified of something.
Man, I still remember people saying, "Who would you be more scared of? You know, Freddy or Jason?" And I just Freddy, hands down.
And the fact that everyone sleeps.
Oh yeah, like,
everyone has to sleep.
Sometime you gotta sleep. Yeah,
you're gonna have to sleep sometime. And if you watch that movie, you're gonna hate yourself for a while.
Oh yeah, you're probably insomnia and then some. Yes. Oh yes.
What's your number 7?
Number 7 was the first Insidious. I wanted to follow that directly up with the first one.
Okay.
Because I felt like the first one set the stage. It gave me something different. You know, I loved the whole things walking in the background, the weird music. You know, playing the old songs in the mid, and you know, it's weird. There's a lot of these current horror movies that they get away with playing a lot of those old timey songs, and they'll play them in the backdrop of what is to be one of the most creepiest moments ever. And I've always liked the idea of astral projection, and I thought that being the basis for this film was very, very, you know, trippy. It was also quite a bit of a world building kind of thing. I like the idea that you can trait from one house to the next. And,
definitely. And
there's spirits everywhere, and they're all kind of frozen in their, you know, their death scenes. You know, I thought that was creepy. And then the fact that they're just standing there sitting still and, you know, frozen mid whatever they're about to do, basically. That was creepy. But no, definitely Insidious 1 for 7. I wanted to kind of follow that up with the first one after the second one. So
okay.
So, yeah, that's my number 7.
So my number 7 might be a curveball.
Curveball.
It's you probably won't see this coming.
All right, try me.
My number 7 is Paranormal Activity.
Oh man, you just had to pick
Paranormal Activity.
Okay.
It's far from being the first found film type horror.
Yeah.
But god damn did it master it.
Oh yes.
The feeling it gave you when they went to sleep, the way it sped up.
Oh yeah.
And just the creepy vibes each night.
Every night.
there was something.
It was as if it got worse and worse.
And the bad thing is, you never knew when it was going to happen.
I think that was what made it more horrific. The not knowing when it's about to go down,
and it kept your eyes glued.
Yeah,
and when your eyes are glued, I feel like that's when you get creeped out the most.
Yes,
because you're just like, where's it? Might like the first night. I think it was just the door moved a little bit,
and that's it.
The door just kind of moved, and it was like, that's not much.
That's nothing. Right?
But towards the end, this bitch gets dragged out the bed, just like.
Or yanked. I think it was like they got yanked or got dragged, and it was just random. And then after that was it.
And I think the part that creeped me out the most, it made me never want to live with a woman ever again, was when she was standing over him while he was sleeping.
Oh no!
She was just standing and just staring.
I can't do that.
Hours.
Oh man, I was
rocking back and forth watching this man sleep was the creepiest thing ever.
Yeah, I remember that scene. I was like, I remember staring. I remember she showed me this movie a few years ago, and while we were watching this movie, I looked dead at her while this was happening, and I said, "Huh," and then looked right back, and she was like, "What?" And I was like, "No." That's not cool. No. But no, definitely. I think that was the creepiest thing. Just the knowledge someone is standing right there over you while you're sleeping and not moving an inch. Just nothing. Oh, yeah. Oof, okay.
What's your number 6?
Number 6. Conjuring 1, the first one. Number 6 for me was The Conjuring.
That was on my honorable mention.
I know. That was why I was kind of surprised you.
No, I lied. That was number 9.
It was number 9.
That was my number 9.
Yeah, no. For me, The Conjuring was very. It was a return to form, and I really loved James Wan's horror. It's not like.
It's not your run of the mill.
Exactly. It's not Annabelle. It's not The Nun. It's not La Llorona. It's none of that dumb horror jump scare stuff. For me, The Conjuring was a return to form in more ways than one. And, just the whole clapping next to somebody's ear in the dead of dark, after the match goes out. I was just, oh man. And I loved it. It was amazing. And I think what also added to it was the idea that it is based on true events. That doesn't mean that everything that happened in the film actually happened.
Of course.
But the idea that there is a basis for it, that there is something that went down.
Yeah.
The fact that the Lorraines are legit, that they are. And of course, R.I.P. to I think it was the wife or the husband that just passed within the last couple of years. I might be wrong.
I didn't know that.
I might be wrong, but I think one of the Lorraines passed recently. So if I'm wrong,
no, don't be putting fake news on my podcast.
No.
You're over here selling this Donald Trump fake news.
No, never. No, none of that here. None of that there. I might be wrong. I'll look it up later. Matter of fact, I might look it up now just to be doubly sure. But why don't you go ahead with your
number 6?
Your number 6. I'm curious.
My number 6 is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Holy moly, you really are killing me here.
1974, the original.
Is that right?
That is 100% right. It's such a creepy movie dealing with the family and Leatherface himself and bro, that dinner table scene with the family when they had to kidnap the girl, and
you can't duplicate that. That was
like being when they take you to his basement with all his tools.
Yeah, that's just setting you up for the knowledge that you're going to die today. Like,
and you just have this like this 6'5", 300-pound beast just running at you with a fat ass chainsaw.
I've always wondered what would be the worst way to go out. I think having a chainsaw.
I think him cutting you in half with a chainsaw would be pretty bad.
Yeah, that would be horrific.
Because he keeps you alive the whole time.
Yeah, and that's what disturbs me. You know, you get those serial killers who say things like, yeah, I'm going to keep you alive while we do this. I'm just letting you know. And by the way, sidebar, by the way, I did find out that I was right. I think the wife passed in April of this year, actually. April of this year. Okay. April 18th of this year. Her husband, however, did pass back in 2006.
Well, isn't that just...
Yeah, that's what I was saying. But yeah, no, I was right. I just wanted to verify that just to be sure. But yes, I was right. Okay. Okay, so Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You can't get any better than that. Oh man! Well, actually, we're gonna see how much better we can.
Oh no,
get.
we're gonna get better.
We're gonna see that. Correction.
We're definitely gonna get better.
But no, definitely that dinner scene is you can't duplicate.
It's just
that.
Creepy.
Yeah, you can't.
It's just straight up creepy.
The level of creep is just. There's no the tension. Just nope. That's it. Okay, so
we're at number 5.
Yeah. All right, fellas and ladies, we are now at our top 5.
Top 5.
Yes. Okay. You want me to go or you?
Go ahead, ma'am.
Oh, you're funny.
Ladies first.
Oh, no. We're not going to go there with that. All right, my number 5 is Conjuring 2. That second one was even better than the first one. And even I have to admit, I mean, even though it was an entirely different change of scenery, an entirely different monster to take on, I mean, it was just phenomenal. I loved it. And I even loved throughout the entire film I think it was the nun painting that was tripping me out throughout the entire thing. And, you know, of course, they would go on to do the origin of the nun later on.
Of course.
But I felt like the iteration of the nun in this particular film was even creepier. I felt like it was handled a lot better than in the nun. Because the nun was just jump scares and such.
Of course.
But this one, it was handled with much more deference. Much more, you know, ambiance. Like you felt the dread, you felt what was coming, and like it was this cloud of power, this dark evil that was there. Yeah. So for me, totally Conjuring. Top 5 Conjuring 2. Because that one got me back. The Conjuring's got me back into horror, and I was at a point where I just did not like horror anymore. Mm-hmm. So for me, I have Conjuring to thank for why I'm there.
Okay. Fair enough. My number 5.
Here we go.
My number 5.
Where did you land?
The Shining.
Oh man, you know my wife had just said that one was her top 10 or top 5. I can't remember.
It's no way that I could ever put this movie not in my top 5. There's no way. Stanley Kubrick.
I mean, the wide pans,
as terrible conditions that he put his actors in. God damn!
I mean, the psychological.
Oh my god!
Terror.
He put his actors and actresses in their own horror for a horror film.
I mean,
that's what makes it what it is.
And it's that kind of out of the box thinking, believe it or not, that was behind the Evil Dead remake. Mm-hmm. The whole submersive horror. The idea that, okay, you want them to feel that throughout the entire filming. You know, you don't want them to feel frustrated and depressed and despairing and even, I mean, just that to me, that kind of immersive, you know, acting, that's pretty cool.
And the casting of Jack Nicholson.
I mean, come on.
The casting of Jack Nicholson was probably the smartest thing that this movie could have ever done.
I mean, his slow walk into madness.
And he just looks like a creepy dude anyway. He looks like that guy that will
earlier on, he was really really creepy, even looking even earlier on. I mean, no offense to Jack Nicholson, but I mean, it's just earlier on he looked like he was deranged. He looked a bit off-putting, a bit even unsettling at times. So, even in the end, watching this movie, it was just so, man, watching him just slowly go mad, the whole writing, all work, no play makes Jack a very dull boy, like just so many times. Mm-hmm. Like, oh man, you knew something was going to pop off. You just knew it. So, yeah, no, agreed, totally. Top 5 definitely should be The Shining. Sorry.
The Shining.
Shining.
Shaun of the Dead. Okay, bro.
Oh man, we're not even gonna go there. Don't do that. Don't do that. Because then you're gonna make me want to rework my list. Stop doing that. All
right. What's your number 4?
All right, my number 4, and I wanted to put them in separate. I wanted to put them in their own separate slots, but I had the hardest time wanting to do that simply because the first one built off the other one. So this one's a bit of a twofer. Halloween 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. Hands down. The wide pans, the score, the Michael just walking to his kill. Not running, just walking. Okay? And with a knife, and with a butcher's knife, no doubt. Okay? It was a butcher's knife. It was a butcher's knife.
You could call it a butcher. I would just say kitchen knife.
Kitchen knife, okay.
I would just say kitchen because every time he got the knife, it was in the kitchen.
Yeah, every single.
That goddamn knife thief come in here and try to take my knife.
I mean, what kills me is how is it he always had access to his?
Well, he was in that neighborhood.
Yeah, but I mean, it was just at the same time, it was like, just how?
It's a neighborhood of white people. White people collect knives, apparently. You walk into I have tons of white neighbors. You walk into their house, you're going to see that little cutlery section with the knives sticking out right there. You're going to see that in almost every white household ever.
I know, but it was just, they were so readily accessible. That was what concerned me. I was like, dude, it's like, nobody thought about putting them in drawers or anything like that. Like, I don't know.
And they bought them from QVC because they're white.
Wow.
QVC, those knife sets came from QVC or the Home Shopping Network. Okay, let's be real.
So look, what I did love more than anything was how he would stalk his prey.
100%.
Oh yeah, I felt like the way he did it, the preying on them, thinking they have it under control when really they don't. Mm-hmm. I always felt that the best thing you can do to a horror, best thing you can do to make a horror movie monster or a horror movie slasher or a serial killer in a horror film, the best way to make them very increase their creep factor to the maximum, just make them stalk their prey slowly but surely. Like, I got all night. Don't worry about it. I'll be right there when you're not thinking about it. That's what I love about the Halloween movies. The fact that throughout both films, and considering they were filmed, it felt like they were filmed back to back.
They were.
Oh, they were? Okay, so you did tell me that was, yes.
As soon as Halloween 1 ended, they immediately started Halloween 2.
And the fact that they're filmed back to back, if you were to sit and watch 1 and 2 back to back, it feels
you can do it.
Yes, and it literally feels like the longest, tensest horror movie ever in total. So, and in the score, I mean, phenomenal. Just the crescendos, the slowing down, the silence, knowing. I mean, the timing. And that's something not many horror movies are really good at these days. They get you. They get your blood up when you don't really need to be excited. Mm-hmm. They give you the fake jump scare, and then they give you the real one, and by that point, it's just you're already numb. Mm-hmm. But I felt like Halloween 1
it's too predictable,
way too predictable. So Halloween 1 and 2 mastered the timing, the score, the Michael stalking his prey. Just yes. Phenomenal. So 1 and 2 are definitely Halloween 1 and 2 are definitely my number 4.
Okay, I think my number 4 is really just gonna.
It's left field.
It's just gonna. It's so left. It's right.
All right. Try me.
My number 4. A Quiet Place.
Oh my God! For real? How did I not?
This is the only super modern film that's in my list.
Okay.
And it's for a good reason. The whole fact that when I went to go watch this in theaters, I watched it with the best audience ever. It was a packed movie, but nobody said and nobody ate a goddamn thing.
Nice.
Everyone was silent, just like the movie. And the fact that you can make a movie based on silence and it be as creepy and as well put together and as well made, and it puts you in the movie, it makes you not want to say a word.
The way they immersed the audience with the silence, we saw that movie as well in theaters, and that was without a doubt one of the best experiences ever. Like there was no way you can watch that movie with people talking or eating popcorn or whatever. There's no way you can do it. It would completely take you out of it. In fact, there's even points where you're just kind of like, bro, shut up, because they might hear you. Like that, like for a film to make you feel that way, that's pretty intense. That's gold to me. If you can make me feel bothered by the person. I mean, of course, you should always be bothered by the person to the left and right or in front of you because of the movie in the theater. But to the point where silence is crucial. You want to hear everything. You want to hear if they hear something. That's pretty intense.
That movie made me feel like if I said something, I was gonna die.
Exactly. Yes.
Like I felt like if I sneezed or coughed, well, damn, I'm dead. And if a movie can make you feel that way, then God, yeah, you belong on top 5.
Definitely. Did you hear they're doing a sequel? In fact, they just got through filming the sequel.
See, sequels scare me.
Ah, man.
Specifically horror sequels.
Okay.
Horror sequels scare the hell out of me.
Agreed. Would it make you feel better to know that both Emily Blunt and John Krasinski are coming back to film and direct that particular?
No, it doesn't make me feel better.
Why wouldn't it?
It doesn't.
Come on.
It doesn't make me feel better.
Ah, man.
That's a movie I'm just gonna have to watch.
Okay, all right.
That's a movie I'm just gonna have to watch.
And we'll just have to,
because some of these sequels and bro, I just don't know.
I agree with you.
I just don't know.
I agree with you. I guess part of me really liked it that much, and then the knowledge.
And I do too. I hope it does great. I
Yes.
hope it has that same atmosphere.
Yes.
But now I'm interested to know where are they gonna go from here
With it, exactly.
What's
Maybe,
gonna be your plot?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's gonna make or break that movie for me.
No, I agree. You're right. I mean, like I said, at this point, it's just we'll see. But just wanted to kind of put that out there. There is a sequel on the way. They just got through filming it within the last couple of months, so we should get one within the next couple of years for sure. It should be ready to go.
Okay, definitely.
Yeah, so that'll definitely be an us kind of thing. We'll definitely have to go and see that opening night.
All right, top 3.
Here we go. We're edging very close.
This is where you get down to it.
The nitty gritty.
And this is where you will get judged. I will judge the hell out of you.
I figured you might.
So what's your number 3?
Oh, you're going to laugh. I actually picked The Fog for number 3.
Podcast over. No, I'm just kidding.
I wish you would.
I'm kidding. kidding.
I actually decided to pick The Fog for number 3. I was actually really surprised you had it so low on your list. That was why I was trying to hold back because I didn't want to give it away so soon. Mm-hmm. But no, definitely, I love the simplicity of the Fog. I loved it.
The Flog.
The Flog? Did I say the Flog or did I say the Fog?
You almost said the Flog.
I almost did. Okay, I thought I caught myself. I'm like, I know I did. But no. The Fog was phenomenal. I loved it. And I mean, to make you scared enough to want to be enveloped by that thing. How it just rolled up on everyone so quickly. and how it pretty much gave you this air of claustrophobia, like you're stuck. Wherever you are, you're stuck. And then not knowing it's out there and then walking into it, I mean, ooh. But I loved it. It was really great. The score, once again, phenomenal. And even the ending I thought was pretty trippy. So I mean, in the end,
when you thought it was gone,
oh, you thought,
and it came right back to take its last victim.
And you know, you gotta love those horror movies where they give you that whole, oh, you think it's over, but really it's not, and it probably will never be over. So I loved that. I loved how they were able to kind of end it on that note where, just because they solved it, it's not over. Not anytime soon. So
now you know the deal between John Carpenter and the company was New Line, right?
I think it was New Line. It might have been New Line.
I can't remember what the company was, but he had a deal for, of course, Halloween 1. Mm-hmm. But they wanted him to sign the contract to do more Halloween movies. Mm-hmm. He wanted to make The Fog. Ooh, he said The Fog has to be in there.
Okay.
In order for him to continue with the Halloween series. Mm-hmm. That was his kind of negotiation. Oh, he was like, I need to make this movie. You're not going to get any more Halloween movies until I make this movie. Until I get it. There you go.
Good. That's how you do it. And of course, Jamie Lee Curtis, man. And that was what I cannot believe I left that out of Halloween 1 and 2. Jamie Lee Curtis, hands down the scream queen of them all. No pun intended, but the scream queen of them all. I mean, she was the quintessential.
She is the scream queen.
Yeah, of all. Just forget it. I mean, just no one else would ever come close. No one else can ever come close.
Nah, not at all.
Yeah, no, her performance in the first and the second one are something to behold. So no, I cannot believe I even forgot that. So yeah, no, her performance in The Fog and the first two Halloween films, hands down, amazing. So yeah, that's my top 3.
Okay.
Well, my number 3.
My number 3.
Ooh, tell us yours.
My number 3 is Psycho.
Ooh, and that was on my honorable mention.
My number 3 is Psycho. And I hope everyone that listens to this gives you hell.
Don't do that.
Super hell.
Don't do that.
For not putting this in your top 10. Now, even though these are very biased lists to us personally, the fact that you did not have Psycho.
When you hear my top 2, you'll see why.
I better hope so.
You'll see why. Hopefully you understand.
But just the Alfred Hitchcock and his vibes.
Okay.
Are vibes of their own.
Okay.
Like Alfred Hitchcock and Vincent Price.
Okay.
They just have a vibe of their own.
Agreed. And I mean, man, there was something. And it's crazy because I grew up with the whole everybody parroting that scene, and I never understood why it's such an important scene. And then when I finally saw the movie, I was like, yeah, I would parody the hell out of that scene for the rest of my life. Like, it's just the build up to the scene, even the score, that dun, 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 like that was really, really neat. That was awesome. That was perfectly timed, well done. I mean, even with the slashes, I even thought that was pretty neat. And then come to find out at the very end, you know, it was him, but in the guise of his mom. I was like, man, that was just that just added a whole creep factor to it that you just didn't. Man, it just took you by surprise. So yeah. Okay, I can see that. And again, you know, if I catch hell, I catch hell. It is what it is, you know.
Top 2.
All right, top 2. So,
what's your number 2?
So, I have a sweet spot for this one. Even though I just saw it earlier this year, it made me want to go back and watch it again and again and again.
So it's a recent movie.
Very recent. Hereditary.
top 2.
Yes. Let me tell you why. For starters, I had up to this point, thanks to my wife, and my wife's a better horror movie aficionado than I am. So let's just say I'm a bit of a novice, a bit of an amateur at this whole thing.
So I should kick you off the podcast and have her on.
No, we'll have her on. We'll have her on probably next. I would like to have her on next one for sure. But I loved Hereditary simply because it was literally something that was filmed differently. It was done in such a way where the tension, it wasn't even jump scares. There was not now that I think about it, there wasn't a single jump scare in that movie. There was no need for it. And I had already by this point seen the cheesiest, the lamest, the poorly filmed horror films by this point. She'd shown me The Nun and La Llorona and a few other ones. But by the time I saw Hereditary, I had feared watching this movie because I had heard that it was going to leave you just pins and needles, clenching the whole time. And I was like, oh, something's going to be good. So I'd put it off for a long time. And then she said, no, we're watching this now. You have to watch this with me. So we sat and watched it. Man, I was so clenched up. That whole movie from start to finish, my fists were clenched. I was on the edge of my seat. I was just rigid throughout that whole movie. And then the end of it, I mean, just the like you're just waiting for something sudden to happen, but it doesn't happen that way. And I think that's why I put this one in top 2 because
it's a slow burn.
Very slow burn. And you have to have patience with those kinds of movies. You have to want to sit there and really appreciate feeling just despairing and hopeless and just at the mercy of whatever is going to happen next. If you can do that to me, then you won me over. And I have not seen a horror movie today better than this one. I mean, other than that's part of the reason why Insidious and Conjuring are on.
But you have seen a better horror movie because that's only your number 2.
Well,
that's only your number 2. So don't be over here lying.
Okay,
now.
Fine.
Don't be over here lying.
Okay, fine. Okay, so but no, I really loved how they did it. It was just so gut-wrenching and nerve-wracking. I mean, wow. I felt like I needed to just take an Ambien after just to kind of calm down. Like, that was how I felt. And, of course, guys, I don't take prescription pills to mellow out.
Yeah, sure. Of course you don't.
But, I mean, man, I needed to mellow out so bad after that movie. It was really, really good. So, that's my number 2.
Okay. It's interesting.
Very.
My number 2.
Okay.
It's the movie we just talked about. Halloween.
Oh, man. Okay.
Halloween just set the precedent for slashers.
In general, yes.
Slashers wouldn't be slashers
without
Halloween. You wouldn't have Friday the 13th. You wouldn't have Scream.
You wouldn't have Jason. Friday the 13th either.
You wouldn't have a lot of these.
Oh, yes.
You wouldn't have... And if you did, they wouldn't be the same.
Exactly.
They wouldn't feel the same without Halloween. That's why it's so high on my list.
Okay.
Like, it made the score important.
Exactly.
It made it so important.
Very much so.
Because without... Like I said in the last podcast, he released it without a score.
Ooh.
And
that's right.
It people were like, this movie is crap. It's not scary.
Right.
He went back to the drawing board and added this phenomenal score. Whew. And it charted all the box office numbers.
Man.
It was at the top of everything. And to think that, horror music is so important.
For it to play such a very important part in horror movies in general. I mean, in all honesty, you can't have someone on pins and needles on just silence. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are instances where that is called for, but you need the tension, you need the build up, you need that feeling like something's straining. You need that feel. Otherwise, it's just a serial killer running around killing people, and
exactly.
And you want to add a bit of an ambiance to it. So
exactly.
All
right, what is... I'm scared to know your number one.
I'm scared to say my number one.
I'm worried.
I'm worried too, but...
So, what's your number one, sir?
So, in the spirit of the first to set the tone for others to come, Night of the Living Dead, Romero. I wanted that one to be my number one because you wouldn't have a slew of zombie films without it.
I knew that was your number one, by the way.
You had a feeling it would be, right?
I knew.
Yes. I love the classics. So for me, it's like if you can give me a movie that creates a culture. Okay. Now, mind you, Romero didn't even like the word zombie. The monsters that were in his film were ghouls, and he fought it for a couple of decades, about 20 or so years, and by that point it was just forget it. They're zombies, whatever.
Zombie was just a pop culture word by then. It was too and
it's too plain, and of course I know the difference between ghouls and zombies, so it's like by that point, by the time I had seen this film, it was like, yeah, I see why you went for ghouls. I see why that's what they are. And I mean, come on, we can name off so many zombie films that wouldn't have happened had it not been for this film. Okay, you got 28 Days Later, Warm Bodies, The Crazies, any of the preceding, even the preceding sequels with this film. I mean, Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead and iZombie. I mean, I can go on, but it created a subculture within the horror genre that you cannot get away from.
World War Z,
yes. And I mean, like I said, you can't get away from zombie. Even if I told you zombie, you could. What was that?
that is my Discord. I don't know why my Discord just went off.
That was weird.
That was weird. Okay, back to zombies.
Okay, but basically, this movie kicked off that subculture, and in the popular following that came. I mean, of course, my very first zombie film was 28 Days Later. So seeing where that came from, the genesis of that idea of such a great film, that was awesome. I mean, come on, it's black and white. The score is actually really good, and also you don't know what starts it. You don't know the origin of the plague. You have no idea what started it, what brought it about. Of course, I mean, there's even a scene where they're speculating as to what they think it is after having listened to the news or, hearing off the radio. Now, but this film, though it was filmed in the 50s, there's no TV. Not TV. There's no cell phones. There's no internet. So back then, the only way they heard things was radio and TV. So watching them sort of speculate and then freak each other out because they're both trying to one up who they feel is right in terms of where it got started. Mm-hmm. And then the closing in, I mean, zombies give you a claustrophobic feeling where it's like they're closing in, they're going to keep coming back. And then you learn, headshots, or you got to hit them in the head or whatever. And it was just so... It was such a phenomenal movie that for it to create its own subculture within horror after the fact, I mean, for decades to come. I mean, there's books, there's movies, there's fan fiction, there's shows, there's comic books. I mean, you name it, it's zombies there. So that's why that one's my number one, because of how prolific it was, how earth moving it was in terms of horror. So yeah, that's my number one. So
I will say, Chris, that slightly disappointed.
You're slightly disappointed.
My number one.
All right, what was your number one?
Never even made your honorable mentions.
I gotta hear this.
And I don't know if this podcast or this friendship is gonna last.
Oh no, our friendship has been through worse. Our friendship has been.
Because, bro, okay. My number one.
All right, here we go.
The Exorcist.
Holy guacamole! How did I forget that one? And
there is no way in hell or heaven that I cannot put this movie at number one. Yeah, the visual effects.
I mean, the twisting, the turning, the oh man!
And I'm sorry, they weren't even visual effects. They were I forgot what they called them because there was no CG. They were practical effects.
Yes, practical effects. That's what
this movie was nothing but practical effects, and they put their actors through hell. Like the scene of her bouncing up and down in the bed.
Yeah, that was
up and down. She was attached to a lever and strapped in, and that wasn't a dummy body. That was her. So by the end of this movie, she had scoliosis.
Oh my gosh.
She was strapped to a harness in the bed, being jerked up and down, up and down, up and down.
God.
Constantly, over and over. And by the way, that movie, that room that they were in was in fact below freezing temperatures.
Wow.
That was when you saw their breath, when you saw how cold they were cold.
Man.
That wasn't CG breath. That wasn't CG anything. There were several actors. Actually, one actor, I think the priest, the priest or the priest's helper died a year later because of hypothermia and and pneumonia.
Probably being in that cold
from the movie. And if I'm not mistaken, no one from that movie is alive right now.
Damn. And
that
doesn't add a level of creepy.
And that's something that I want to get into in a later podcast. There's a lot of movies that have a curse around them.
I've heard of those movies.
There's a lot of movies that have a curse around. This is the top one. And also, I mean, the practical effects, the way the creepy vibe and the way it was filmed from when her parents were having a party downstairs and she just peed in front of everyone.
Wow.
And she just pissed the floor.
Jeez.
Like, it's just creepy. And they're like, what the hell? Is she sick? What's wrong with her?
Yeah, like, is she off her head? What's wrong with her? Like,
and I mean, and if you didn't know, the actual exorcist that happened there is actually how they do exorcists in real life.
Okay, I figured it.
That is 100% the exact steps they do for exorcisms in real life.
Okay, that is wild to hear. And it's crazy because there are a lot of stories of exorcism, and they have to be done a particular way. They have to be done in accordance with, if you ever involve the Catholic Church in it, they have to really look into it. They have to investigate before they send anybody to actually, perform the exorcism. So it's a very strict, very thorough investigation. And of course, you want to make sure that someone's not yanking your chain, of course. But in the instance of that particular story, oh, yes, that was legit. That was legit, hands down. So, yeah.
And we're not even going to get into Catholic Church versus horror movies because that's...
I think we should I think that's a landmine we should avoid altogether, in my opinion.
Because that's like a 6-hour podcast.
No, not even. Probably a day. Let's just lead out when B, and we'll just not.
We're just gonna say that Catholic churches do not like horror movies.
Yeah, we'll just lead out when B. But yes, honestly, it's there's a long-standing history between both horror movies and the Catholic Church. But in the end, it's very divisive because you really want to be sure that it's legit, but at the same time, you got those moments where it actually is, and sometimes those times can be overlooked. And then you get stories like what went down with the Lorraines and stuff like that. So, yeah, in my opinion, that movie was all in all, through and through, legit one of the creepiest exorcism movies, of all time.
Yeah.
So I had a feeling you'd be disappointed in my list. I guess part of me was just, I've always had a very eclectic nature when it comes to movies. And mind you, I'm just getting into horror films. This is something I just got into within the last 5 years. I've always been action movies, superhero films, and mystery, and even black and white films. Noir,
and that's the thing about horror. In horror, there's something for everyone, and everyone has their different reasons for why they love horror, what got them into horror. And that's why you're going to see a bunch of top 10 lists on this podcast, especially in the beginning, because we want you to know, or horror, what type of horror do we like? So when we go into movie reviews, you'll be like, oh, I can see why Chris doesn't like this movie, or I can see why Dom absolutely loves that movie.
Exactly.
We're basically setting a standard to what we like and what we don't like.
So that way it doesn't surprise you like crazy later on down the road.
Just like, as you can tell, there were no monster movies in any of my lists, where his honorable mentions were almost every monster movie.
Exactly.
Which is fair. A lot of people love the originals. Mm-hmm. Personally, I find the originals kind of bland.
Bland?
They're kind of bland.
Come on, black and white doesn't take away.
The black and white's kind of bland.
Yeah, but then you got the movie like The Mummy, where you have to admit that scene where his eyes are just hella focused, and the way the shade, there's shade over the top of his forehead, and it's just a long white stretch of light over his eyes and the focus on his eyes, and even the way they did the score for that scene. You can't do that these days. I've seen it done, but it's like it doesn't match the intensity. It doesn't match the gold of how they did it in that one. So, and then you got the Invisible Man. And then the Wolfman. Come on, at the end, the horror when the detective realizes.
See, now the Wolfman's a different story. I can get behind the Wolfman.
Okay.
Because it's just scary.
Oh, yeah. It's
scary and it's full of action.
Of course. And then you got Creature from the Black Lagoon, and, just noir for me. Okay, so a couple of years ago, my wife and I sat down, and she was like, I want to do Twilight Zone. Let's sit down and watch those. And I was thinking maybe we were watching the ones that came out, the episodes that came out a few years ago. She said, no. We're watching the original ones.
Those aren't the good ones.
What are you talking about?
The good ones are the original ones.
Yes, the black and white ones, hands down. And there's a specific reason why noir is better in terms of film. Less focus on color and detail. You're more focused on what's happening. And by the way, there were a few of those episodes that, and if you really want to binge Twilight Zone, be prepared to need to watch something happy after. It's very despairing. There are a few of them where it's like, oh crap, wow, damn, okay. And then you got some where it's like, damn.
To be fair, as much as I did enjoy the Twilight Zone, mm-hmm. I was an Alfred Hitchcock Hour guy.
Oh, okay, see, that's where
you take me to the Alfred Hitchcock Hour, and we're rolling. Oh, we're rolling,
and it's
not. The films are awesome, but the way he presents them to you, in the beginning, and the way he's like, "Here we go," it's just
right.
It's just everything put together.
Exactly.
Now, don't get me wrong. I love Twilight Zone. It's always going to be a classic.
Okay.
But goddamn, the Alfred Hitchcock Hour just that did it for me.
Then I guess I'll need to. I watched bits and pieces of it growing up, but I had the Twilight Zone more than that. So I guess it was just. I guess that'll have to be something we'll have to do. We'll have to kind of see if maybe later on we can kind of put out some of our best and worst from the Hitchcock Hour. Maybe not all of them, but we could just pick a few that really kind of stuck with us. So maybe that'll be for a later podcast. Even I'd be up for that.
Definitely. We have a ton of things a ton of ideas for podcast. It's endless with horror. It's endless, and I also want to go through the different decades.
Definitely,
because you have the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, 2000s.
And even now. Well, would you count now? The recent decade, would you count that? From 2010 to now?
Next year's 2020, so yeah, we definitely can.
Yeah.
Because it would be a whole decade.
It would be, by this point. Okay. So,
but with that being said, those were our top 10s. Feel free to leave in the comments your top 10s. And let's just see who has the best list.
Yeah, and then we go from there. Yeah.
If you think I had the best list, then let me know. If you feel Chris had the best list, then put that down in the comment section. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And we will be back every Monday with Undead Ninjas. I hope you guys have a horrific day. And make sure you die tomorrow. Goodbye.